myself, brought no friend. But what you ever say, oh, let's go. Ladies in the place with the real hair. Ladies in the place with the real hair. Dance floor, girl, do your freaky, freaky dance. Hit the dance floor, girl, do your freaky, freaky dance.
We are back. It's Kareem with the Word of Mouth Show. We have our special guest in the building, Dee Vazquez. What is Z?
Vasquez, what is he? Oh, you're good. Yeah.
And we have Quest Fire. Dee just came in. She had whatever situation, but she's just so dedicated. Like, she just came through.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, she's a soldier.
Just to let everybody know, I was at the
definitely a
emergency room just because, you know, sometimes you feel like you're going to die.
Just sometimes.
And I'm like looking at the time and I'm like, all right, so can he like discharge me? Because I got somewhere to go.
Oh, man. Charge it to the car.
I'm like, all right, so thank you so much. Can I go now? He's like, just 5 more minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not dying, right? He's like, no. I'm like, then we can speed this up.
Thank God. No, I definitely, because I mean, some people like it's like, it's snow outside, it's just rain, I appreciate that.
If you want to get
the
things
whole
done
dying
in
thing.
your career, you're gonna have to like
Yeah,
make
you
it
gotta make
happen.
sacrifices, but that's an ultimate sacrifice because you know you're in a hospital. It's not like I'm late because in traffic or
right.
You know what I mean? Like somebody dropped me off at the wrong exit.
Exactly.
You in the hospital.
I appreciate it. I do.
Yeah. So we're here.
All right. So for those who don't know, Dee is like, what doesn't she do? Journalist, television host, radio personality. Yes. What else? Tell us. Tell us.
I like the title that one person gave me, humanitarian. I was like, ooh, that sounds
right.
That sounds good. And you know, it is what it is. I along with my partner in crime, like the homie for life, Amber Ravenel, she's actually here tonight. We started Woman on the Move.
Yes.
And for the past, it's going to be 6 years in March. We've been going to schools, and that's from like grade school to graduate school. We've been going to prisons. We've been going to shelters, and we've been speaking to these women, and we've been trying to inspire them and bringing other women along. And so what I do, I basically moderate a panel of distinguished, respectable women within their respected careers. It's not just entertainment. And we really just want to educate. We want to enlighten. More than educate is enlighten.
Right.
You know, because you can read about science, math, history, and all this stuff, and you can, you know, get all these textbook lessons, but an enlightenment is something different. That's when the light bulb goes off.
Right.
That's when an experience gets partnered with a lesson, and you go, that's why I shouldn't bring my ass outside, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or that's why I should stay in school, or that's why I should educate myself. Is when you become enlightened, is when you know that. So, especially for the kids in the hood, if I could have had a Woman on the Move when I was growing up in the projects, it would have easily canceled out half of the BS I had to go through. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what we do, and we've been doing it for, like I said, almost 6 years in March, and so I guess that's another title you could put down.
Yes, humanitarian. Yeah, that one is great. Yes, I heard about that. So so you go out to the schools and you inspire the kids or women in prisons. And
well, you know, to say that I inspire them is mostly the panelists. The panelists. These women are they persevere. They're smart. You know, there's a sense of camaraderie amongst all the women there. And then we also have the fellas there, the fellas in the crowd. And the first year, I was taken back by how much the guys took from it.
Right.
You know, because we're like, this Woman on the Move is for women and women empowerment, fist in the air. And then the guys are there, and the guys are like, yo, we love this. Like, this is beautiful. Like, these are the women that we love the women who you are, and we love the women that you are, like, almost molding for the future.
Right.
You know, and then it's really important. Then
That's
I started
very
thinking
important.
about that. I'm like, you know, these women are going to become wives. They're going to become mothers. They're going to become bosses. And so, you know, you have to make sure that whatever you're feeding them, it's something that's only going to support a strong man that's out there doing his thing as well.
Right.
You know, so.
See, people don't know that. All right, so.
So the men appreciate it
they
too.
do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're one. You have to have a good support system.
Yes.
And I hope someone does the same thing with males so that they can teach men as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So being that you didn't have that when you were growing up, what inspired you? What kept you going to get to where you are?
One thing I did have was a very strong mother. A very strong mother, and when she was raising 5 children in the project, she said, not one of you guys are going outside. And we were like, that's so unfair. Everybody hangs out outside. And, you know, the whole thing was that she wanted to keep her 2 eyeballs on 5 children. And how do you do that? Well, I can do that if at least 1 or 2 is straight in my direction and the other 2 are in my peripheral. Like, then I can understand what's going on, you know? But if you have 5 children scattered all around, then how do you keep up? You know, exactly. So that's one thing that she gave us our foundation. And I feel like once you have a foundation, you're good. And if you don't have the strong foundation, where I found was teachers. And they were super supportive of me. Some of them weren't the most supportive. They weren't. But the ones that were really, really supportive. And they seen something bigger and deeper inside of me than I ever even knew I had at the time, you know? And so once you start realizing your own purpose, you start thinking back on those people going, man, if I could just hug them or say thank you, you know, because they seen that early on. So it was the teachers, and then on television it was Auntie Oprah.
Oprah.
It really was. And I was so young watching Oprah, and my sister was like, yo, you're so young. What are you doing? What are you watching Oprah? But, you know, like, I just felt like I love what she did because it wasn't about her. You know, the show was her name, but it was about giving my audience a chance to see these other people in the way that they live their life. And so once I seen that not everybody was living their life where they wake up in the middle of the day, where they're getting high, where they're not going to school, where they're disrespecting their parents, they're disrespecting their loved ones. Like, people wanted to live better lives out there. You know, they're coming from nothing. They're coming from less than I had. Right. But they still wanted to live a better life. And she was the person that introduced that to me. So I was like, taken. Like, yes. This is great.
No, definitely Oprah. It's just hard to watch and not have some type of aha moment, as she likes to say. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Yeah. So you also produce. You do behind camera work.
Yeah,
right?
I do. Yeah. and I humble myself as I say this because it's not like I'm out there and I'm George Lucas, you know? Or Steven Spielberg or Spike Lee, you know. I had an idea, and I was very hesitant on putting the idea out there, but I actually did. And for people that don't know what the idea is, it's a profile series, and I asked, I guess, like the most influential leading artists within the urban community questions like, what do you keep by the side of your bed? What's your purpose? How would you like to be remembered? And these questions struck a chord within me, and I just hope that it did the same thing for them. Mostly I had thought about them. And what I didn't think about at the moment was how the people were going to receive it. Okay. And that's when I say I have to humble myself, because what it's become, because the people have really taken to it and they love it. Like, they can't get enough of it. And the artists appreciate it as well. They're like, this is so cool. And I've gotten hugs from Busta because he's like, what was that? So, sis, I can't believe, what was that? I'm like, it's questions. And, you know, people, they're like, yo, that was good. Ooh, that's good. And so I like that. That's great. That's, you know, it satisfies the ego. But the real work is when the audience, when the people are at home and they're like, yo, I spent hours of my day watching that because I love sincerity, or because now I feel like I got to know my favorite artist on a more humane level. You know, that's the reason why, you know, I continue to do it. Because after a while, I'm like, I'm asking these same questions. Although by the end of it, I always feel rejuvenated and inspired. But I'm like, bro, are they like done with it? Right. And it's been 2 years and they're not. They keep on asking for them. So yeah, that's me behind the scenes. I'm not in it at all. A lot of times people are like, why does it show her face? Or why don't I converse more with them? Like, extend the conversation. But again, it's not about me. It's about them. Their answer, you know, a lot of people say, why don't you like kind of give a little description about what they can expect with the video as I post it? And I'm like, no, because it's left for interpretation. You know, like there's so many things like afterwards, like if there's something that someone has said and I feel like I want to know more, when the camera's off, I ask them personally, you know. And
okay, that sounds actually pretty cool.